Dear students, mentors, collaborators, welcome to the heritage exploration of an important landmark in Indore. We are at the Gandhi Hall complex, formerly known as the King Edward Hall. It is now a major landmark of Indo-Gothic architecture called the Gandhi Hall. The Gandhi Hall is behind me, and as we take the walk, we will be seeing different architectural highlights and flourishes of Indo-Gothic architecture as we navigate different angles, arcs, and spaces inside the Gandhi Hall. But before that, a little history. And important to recollect the history. The history of Gandhi Hall begins in 1904, where it was first constructed by a very important architect of the then Indian landscape called Charles Frederick Stevens, C.F. Stevens. His father, Frederick William Stevens, happened to be one of the most influential architects, British architects of his time, especially his work in India. Poribandar, now that we call as Victoria Terminus, Chhatrapati Shivaji Memorial Terminus. We have the Standard Chartered offices. We have the Royal Alfred Sailors' Home. So many of his buildings. The government office in Nanta. So F.W. Stevens' son was Charles Frederick Stevens, who designed this building. And interesting, another beautiful art deco structure in Bombay called the Regal Cinema. But that's another story for another time. Here, you find arches. You find Rajput minarets. You find a long oblong auditorium with a veranda, open balcony, and a space which can house about maybe 2,500 people. So this entire structure which was opened by King George V in 1905 is remembered for its uniqueness in styles of architecture. Here we are. You can see the red and the white sandstone from Sioni and Patan. Patan, two places in Madhya Pradesh. The red and the white sandstone. You can see the domes, the arches, the minarets, and of course, the balcony that encases inside the building, and a L-shaped courtyard. I wouldn't say the word courtyard. The right word is walkway, passageway, that kind of encases the building on all the four sides. L-shaped, and there's a little flourish inside, and you have a kind of square-like structure. Interestingly, a terrace roof, Palladian arches, along with Palladian arches, the ornamental domes. In fact, the dome, 15 into 15 feet, houses the famous clock tower. The clock chimed every 15 minutes to remind Indore of the time. Many grew up hearing the clock chiming. From time to time, the clock falls into distance. Legendary watchmaker P.P. Lapnikar, in fact, 3 or 4 times have restructured the internal mechanics to put the clock back forward. The clock also tells a very interesting story of this beautiful ornamental structure. And also tells us a story. The importance of keeping built heritage. in our present times. As the city becomes beautiful across the world, the skylines become very, very standardized with glass, mortar, cement, concrete, buildings, along with shanties, makeshift structures. This entire journey of similarity of architecture, along with disparity of economics, of the have and the have-nots. These buildings might belong to the colonial past, but keeping this built heritage intact would mean we can understand and study the intricacies of that period, both in acceptance and in rejection, but study it nevertheless. As we are doing this on 30th January, I'm also reminded by the fact that this was called the Gandhi Hall, as you can see behind me, from 1948 onwards. Gandhi Hall from 1948 onwards. The year of Bapu's death, Maharaja Yashwantrao Singh Ji Holkar rechristened, renamed the place the Gandhi Hall. Maharaja Yashwantrao Ji Holkar's entire timeline of existence was established between 1926 and 1948. 1948, he renamed the place as Gandhi Hall as a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. This large, expansive garden features interesting trees, an open-air space that's adjoining it like an amphitheater, and of course, the peaceful resistance is the main building. 2.5 lakh rupees was spent, a huge princely sum at that point in time, to construct this building. The long oblong hall, 112 feet long, is a magnificent blending of Victorian architecture along with very specific uniqueness of the Rajput minarets. And of course, the entire premises is a solemn reminder of the significance of the name. Gandhi building. It's like a community place. We walked in for the heritage walk. We looked at the structure, the uniqueness. Children are shooting this piece with me. This text, this architectural reading text. This text of involving ourselves in the space. I'm trying to understand its important significance in built architecture. But also what is important is, in the true spirit of Mahatma Gandhi, it's a commoner's place. It's a place where you can hang around, lounge around, talk under the trees, talk things under the sun. And that's the true spirit of Gandhi. Of meeting, talking, living, agreeing, disagreeing, but nevertheless committed to the idea of talking. It's that idea of talking, listening, deep reading, critical thinking that defines this knowledge that dwells inside. The necessity of having such conflicts. So, in this virtual tour, once again welcome to different landmarks of the city of Indore and its adjoining sites. Like we had in one of our previous conferences, looked at Babasaheb Ambedkar's spaces in now. We looked at the legacy of our Indian hockey player, Shankar Lakshman. This time it's the time for looking at the Gandhi Hall and feeling amazed by the grandness and the functionality of the structure. Enjoy the hall and seek out places like this in your cities. All cities in India, they have their rich heritage. So seek out these places. Whether you're looking at the government house in Nainital, whether you're looking at Oriental insurance buildings across India, whether you're looking at different hill structures in Bombay, remember the name F.W. Stevens and Charles Stevens, the father-son duo. In this case, it's Charles Frederick Stevens. Architecture tells you another reading of this, both colonial and decolonial, both modern and post-modern, both usage and ruins, both history and amazing, both nostalgia and presence. It's that engagement with architecture that allows us to understand the importance of urban spaces in urban matchboxes that cities have become. So, enjoy Gandhi Hall in its footage, in its stills, and in the significance of the fact that when you're standing in front of this Charles Frederick Stevens designed landmark, you're encountering one of the finest pieces of built Victorian Indo-Gothic architecture in India. And of course, don't forget his other work, amongst his other works, Regal Cinema in Bombay. That will show you another side of the same architecture. Happy watching, happy digging, but most important, happy criticism.